Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another AFLW Fantasy Fanatics round review. We're recording on Sunday, the 7th of September, after completion of round 4 of the AFLW Fantasy season. I'm your host, Bales, and you can find me at BAILSDT across the socials. And we got no guests on tonight, so it's just me and my co-host and fellow AFLW Fantasy Fanatic, Tom Hales. Tom, mate, how are you? How was your weekend?
Weekend was good. House movies finally finished. Settling into the new
Relax
place.
now.
Enjoyed watching. Oh yeah, enjoyed watching some AFLW Fantasy and pulling my hair out at my trades, which, as you're going to find out in the near future, may not have gone quite to plan.
Yeah, exactly. Well, let's get stuck straight into it, right? So trades from last week. What did you end up doing? Because I know that your trades you cost yourself a couple of points this week.
Oh yeah. So trade one was great. Jess Wrench went back to defence. Scored poorly this week. Moving ahead to Sierra Greaves. Another great score. Lots of cash gen. Trade number one, big tick. Then, as I said on Friday's pod, and I think early last week's pod, I was quite happy with my team. So I actually did a couple of sidewaysy trades, and I did Serene Watson to Shelley Heath, which cost me 20 points. And I did Kiara Bowers to Ella Roberts, which cost me 35 points. So I think it cost me approximately 60 points this week, my trades, which unfortunately is not ideal. But I'm happy going forward with the players I've got on my side.
Yeah, exactly. My trades for the week. So end up going Bowers all the way down to Sierra Greaves, which put Zippy Fish on field, which is just about right. I got a lower score of the year when she was on field. I'm sure we'll chat about that a little bit later. But with that cash, though, was able to go Jess Wrench up to Shelley Heath, and then went Darcy Vessia up to Eden Zanker. So the Wrench to Heath trade I was quite happy with. But DV to Zanker only gaining 7 points is not quite what I was hoping for. Doing the upgrade, I might as well just have held DV on the weekend. But hey, at least I don't have to deal with that this week on top of the other couple of other issues I want to be fixing up in my team. That banked 253k as well. So that's a positive in itself that I'll be able to get a potential upgrade that I'm after. So, but yeah, let's get stuck into our round recap. So, Tom, how did you go in round 4? What was your score? What was your round rank? And what's your overall rank looking like now?
Yeah, so kind of a slightly disappointing week. It wasn't terrible. I had a 1409, which was a round rank of 1492. And it moves my overall rank from 388 out to 519. So I lost about 140 spots. Not my best week. It won't be my worst week. I think it's just, unfortunately, those trades cost me 60 points. It's probably cost me a green arrow. So we go again.
Yeah. Did you say that you lost 140 spots?
Oh, I think 131.
Oh, I was going to say, because I lost exactly 140 last week. So I was going to say, if that was the case, we'd flip. So that was going to be quite amusing. My week had a 1490, so a good week there. Round rank of 194, which was that. I think that's me. That's my best round rank of the season. I think it was round 2, had a 249 round rank. So it's good to have another strong week after a poor one last week. Up 335 spots, up to 374th overall. So pretty much half my rank, which is good. So right in the top 400. So very much got the hat dream very much in my sights. Hopefully I don't cough it up like I did last year. That would be very, very nice. Let's go to the AFLW Fantasy Fanatics. Actually, no, hang on. No, before we do, plus and minus threes. Almost forgot that. So, Tom, your plus and minus 3?
If I'm not going to give it to myself for my trades,
no, you've done that before. Got to be a player.
Yeah, I'm going to give it to Taylor Harris, and it's kind of a 2-week. I brought her in off the back of the 120 she scored a couple of weeks ago, and she just stopped kicking goals. Like, I think she's kicked 1 goal in 2 weeks. To average under 50 in my side, she's made me a decent bit of cash, so I can't be complaining too hard. But just not the output of someone. I wasn't expecting the world. but to average under 50 and get rookies who can do that. So very disappointed, especially in some good matchups.
Yeah.
And my plus three, I think is going to go to Neve McLaughlin. What a starting pick she's been. Absolutely everywhere. If only she could learn how to tackle, then she would be a top 5 fantasy player because she gets the ball so many touches. It's absolutely amazing. 94 on that defensive line is almost firming at the minute to be at very worst top 5 defender adjacent, which is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, well, she had 1 tackle in her first 3 games, so she got 2 on the weekend. So we'll take that. She more than doubled. That increased it by 150%, which is nice. So we'll take that. My plus and minus 3. Probably, I'll give a special shout to Laura Gardner. Another big performance with a 143. But I've got to give it to someone I gave the -3 to, and I was going to trade her out last week. End up holding, and I know you traded this week, but Serene Watson, I'm going to give my +3 to. 98, very, very good score, obviously, and saves me needing to trade her out this week because if she put up another poor score, I would have been trading her out. But I guess you take out that 35, like she's done okay. It's certainly not been too bad. She had that 72 in round 1 with a 0-point second quarter, I want to say. And then round 2 against Melbourne, she had like a single-digit quarter in like the second quarter or third quarter or something. So really the first 2 games was the one quarter that really stopped her from getting a good score. But on the weekend, she actually went through and put up a big score. And I thought she was injured at one point. She clashed pretty heavy with Greta Bodie, and I thought that was maybe her done. But she was, thankfully, both were okay. Both returned to the field, and Serene put up a good score. So she gets my +3. -3, I think it's got to go to Eden Zanker. Trading her in this week for a 44. She was my worst score on field for the week, and that's including having a Beck Ott covering Tess Boyd, who was a late out in the game today. So, yeah, 44, not going to cut it. Still had a few CBAs and decent roll, but set off the last 8 minutes with a HIA, which was disappointing. That could have been a 50-55 at least there, but yeah, just didn't really get amongst it in the windy conditions at Casey Fields. But yeah, let's go to the AFLW Fantasy Fanatics Open League. So, courtesy of Tom doing numbers beforehand, we have 30 coaches inside the top 100. So, a lot of you guys are doing very, very well there. And Kevin is still on top there with a 5.920 from the first 4 weeks. So, going along very, very well there. And he's 6 points clear of Sam's team there as well. So couple of coaches going along very, very well. Kevin's ranked number 2 overall and Sam's 3rd overall. So we've got a 2nd and 3rd coach overall in the Open League, which is very, very good to see. But going to the Content Creators Cup for the round 4. So we had a couple of wins, Tom, and you're up against someone that's probably doesn't quite have fantasy at the forefront of his mind at the moment.
Yeah, I had a win over Jaiden, who's a very busy man getting married and with so many other things. He's not really keeping up with his side. So I had a win 1409 to 1323. Some of the other games, JS had a narrow win against Jake. Mel unfortunately lost to DC from Hatchet. Jono had an absolutely huge 1522 in beating Jackson. And Liam beat Will by about 100 points in an all free kick affair. How did you do, Bales?
Yeah. You didn't say the scores though, so you were going well. You just didn't say the scores of the opponent.
I don't need to know every single score. I'd give the highlights.
People like to compare and see how the rest of the coaches are going, but that's all good. It's all good. We'll think about that next week. But no, I had it was a top 4 clash. I was up against Eloise, who's quietly going very, very well, 116th overall, but got the job done just by 6 points. Safe to say, I was just sitting there just going, please, Schultz, don't go and get like a 40-point last quarter, because I think she needed 31 last quarter to beat me, and thanks to you, she only got the 24. So, but no, very, very good matchup between me and Eloise. And you sort of, when you see coaches that lose and they're like pretty much the second highest scoring coach in the league, equal with Liam this week, that's you feel for the matchups. But unfortunately, I didn't do the fixturing as much as people want to say Bales did the fixturing, although Jake said that once or twice. So no fixturing collusion or anything like that there. That is unfortunately how the cookie crumbles. But the good news with that win is I'm out on top. I'm 3-1, and you're second, 3-1 as well.
We are
and then
lying.
Yeah, no, very, very happy. And then DC is also 3-1. Then you got JS's 2 wins, a draw, and a loss. Then you got Eloise, Jono, Jake, Liam are all 2-2. Jackson is 1-2. Then you got Mel, Will, and Jaiden are 1-3. So it is a very close league to begin the season.
I've got a bone to pick with you here, Mr. Bales.
Me?
Why am I not top of the ladder? My percentage is 4 points better than yours.
Because it's not on it's not on percentage. It's on points scored.
Points
scored. We've done that. Tim's done that in the Content Creators Cup in the men's. I've continued over here because we've said that the points scored is a better indicator of how that coach is going in terms of maybe they'll get a lucky matchup or two here and there. So that's just what. That's
Hi. Meet this. I would have lost to all but 2 of the people in the Content Creators Cup this week, but managed to get a good bit of fixturing. So I'll take the being kissed.
Yeah, and well, that's I guess you take the wins, right? In regards to how they come.
So, hell yeah,
you're happy.
Hell yeah.
Let's go through the games, and we'll go through our studs and duds. So we didn't actually designate this before we start, but is there one way you want to go, Tony?
I'm going to exude some positivity this week, so I'll do the studs.
Damn it. All good. I'll do the duds. But let's go through the games, and we'll start off on Saturday, where the first game was. We're just Saturday and Sunday for AFLW this week, and I believe we got the same again next week before we got actually for a few weeks before we get into some bit more football there. But on Saturday, the first game was Melbourne and Richmond, with Melbourne getting the job done by 37 points. So a good win for them there. Who gets your stud?
One of the best players in the AFLW, absolute awesome player, Kate Hall with 119. She was a pick of the midfield bring-ins this week, under $1 million for Kate Hall, and to put that up is absolutely amazing. Highlighted by two goals and 13 tackles. 13 tackles is absolutely outrageous. Shout out to Mon Conti with the 117, but Kate Hall with a 119 being top scorer of the game. Absolutely amazing for coaches.
Yeah,
shout out to Sierra Greaves as well with a 73 for Cash Gen, and Izzy Bacon with a breakout game, 64.
Yeah,
as well.
Yeah, some good performances there. But yeah, Kate Hall, that 13 tackles, it felt like she had like probably 18 to 20 attempts with a few that probably where the player got rid of the ball and they got to a teammate. But no, very, very good score from Kate Hall. My dud from this game, I'm going to give it to, I'll probably give it to I'll give it to our minus threes, Taylor Harris and Eden Zanker. I'll give it to both of them. Right? I know the conditions weren't great and it was windy, but still 44 for Zanker, 47 for Harris is not what we've got them in our sides for. We've got them to be getting at least a 60, 65 most weeks. But unfortunately, this week was the week that they didn't quite get it done. So they'll get the joint -3. Over to the next game, which was Gold Coast getting their first win of the season.
I've just got one more point to make. So I started Patsy Paxman in my side. She's done very, very well, made a whole bucket load of cash. But unfortunately, guess how many points she scored in the 4 final quarters that they've played this season?
What, combined for all 4?
Combined.
Yeah, for those
combined.
4, I'll say 20 points.
19 points.
Oh, okay. I'll take the fact that I got near the guess, but it's not good though. She gets rested a lot.
They average 4.75 fantasy points in quarter fours this year.
Yeah, I think they just get rested a lot
But,
in the last quarter.
I understand. It's just extremely frustrating when they're on for an 80, 90 plus score, and then that 70 they've reached by a 3/4 time is what they finish with. It's
Well, like the last 2 weeks after trading her last week, I think it was. I thought, crap, they're going to make me pay for putting up 2 big scores, right? But thankfully, for me, my own team, they slowed down and they got rested a little bit, and it didn't make me feel too bad because, I just think that they're getting rested. It's, as we said, just getting rested at the end of games, which is unfortunate for those that own Paxi Paxman. Moving over to Gold Coast and GWS, with Gold Coast getting their first win of the season by 19 points. Who gets your stud from this game in a game where we didn't have any tons?
No tons, but some very good performances. I'm going to get. So I've already spoken about Neve McLaughlin. Absolute amazing performance, 94. But I'm actually going to give it to Ailsha Dowd, a name from last year, who's a rookie last year, who scored very, very well. But it seems to be that she's getting up to speed, playing more time on ground, more time in the ruck, 20 disposals and a goal for 84. Very good score. If you're looking for a cheap ruck option, she could be the one.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Yep, for sure. I'm actually going to give the dud to her ruck partner in this game, Grace Kosh. 12 points. For those that didn't start a Bogue and went for Kosh instead, that's a killer. That's like you're missing out on 400k of cash gen from the season.
Yeah.
And if you had both Kosh and Bogue in your team and you just got Kosh in there, might as well have had a red dot. Might as well have started a red dot that you could have looped the first few rounds. Unfortunately, not the case. And she just keeps dropping some low scores. Yeah, 7 touches, 6 handballs, 3 hit outs. Just not going to cut the must, unfortunately. So part of us hopes that we have that red dot there, so we can loop. But I guess we'll have to see moving forward. Moving to the next game, which I didn't love that the AFL had to fixture the men's final and this game at the same time, because I would have liked to have watched both the games. But alas, we'll talk about it anyway. Carlton with the win by 16 points. And I think I know where your stud's going, because this player has been an amazing pick if you start. And I think you've got an apology also with this player.
Yeah, so little shout outs. Rowan Fitzpatrick, great, 74. Georgia Stathis keeps getting it done, 78. Ali Simmons, we were all a year too early with another great score with 82. But my stud of the week has to go to Dana Finn. On Friday's Q&A lockout chat, we had a question about Dana Finn being like, can I bring her in? And I was very, very, very strong in saying, no, you can't. There's better options. And hasn't she gone and proven me wrong? 31 touches, 17 kicks, 14 handballs, 6 marks, 4 tackles for 116. Absolutely elite. Up over $1 million now. I'm going to say it again. I wouldn't be bringing her in, but 2 amazing performances, and absolute breakout star of the competition.
Yeah, she took it personally when you said that, when she's like, yeah, I'm going to go put
I know
a big score.
Avid listener. Avid listener,
that's
you know?
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to give my dud to probably a couple of rookies. So Kaylee Kimber was someone that a few people were looking at bringing in for some cash gen. 13 points. He's just not gonna get it done. And then also, even Poppy Schultz only had the 19. So not a great score. I was going to say I thought she got injured, but Yasmin Dersman was the one that got injured, unfortunately, early in that game on the 14. But yeah, a couple of rookies unfortunately, not getting it done for coaches when they needed that cash gen. So they get the dud. Moving over to the next game, which is Hawthorn and St Kilda, with Hawthorn winning by 23 points. And who gets your stud for this game?
Got to give it to the player I traded out. Shout out to Tiana Smith, 116, fabulous score, 22 touches, 12 tackles and a goal. But I've got to give it to Serene Watson. Bounce back ability after Serene. I mean, this is what I thought she could be at the start of the year. That 35, I had to send a message. But unfortunately, I sent a message and it resonated way too strongly. 24 touch. Even from watching this game, even from quarter one, just tackling, taking intercept marks, everything that I started Serene for, she was doing in this game against a tough Hawthorn side. So 98 points with 24 touches was absolutely elite.
Yeah.
And I wonder whether the return of B. Jacobson to the side really helps free Watson up to be that.
Well, watching that game, she was like right up the ground, almost as a forward. Like she was getting right up in the forward 50, pushing really high up the ground. So that's a good point. Wonder if that has freed her up. And the other reason I end up deciding to keep her over Wrench, because that was where I was tossing up, was I looked at the kick-in numbers still from the first few games, and she still takes bulk kick-ins. She takes the majority of the kick-ins. So I thought, well, she's still doing that. She's had one poor game. That's what I end up deciding to hold. But a lot of people like, well, with Ella Friend taking some kick-ins, B. Jacobson back in, we're probably thinking, well, is that ceiling gone? So I got lucky holding. I'll say that, because everything pointed towards a trade. Probably the fact that I had Wrench on field as well probably meant I did end up trading Wrench instead. But no, Serene was very, very good. But someone that unfortunately wasn't the dud for this game, unfortunately, has got to go to Jessie Wardlaw. After good performance last week, I think she went over 80, 34 points. Like, I know St Kilda didn't kick their first goal until late in the last quarter. Kicked a couple of goals there, but 34, even in the ruck, you'd think Jessie Wardlaw normally is a lot better than that when she's around the ball. But unfortunately, not a good score if you do own Jessie Wardlaw, because she was a bit of a pod for a few teams. Moving to the Sundays, this is where obviously the bulk of the games were played. And we'll start off with the first game, which was Sydney and Freo, with Sydney winning by 25 points. And obviously there's a couple of big performances here. So who gets your stud?
Yeah, I can't look past 143, which I think was the top score for the round for Laura Gardner. Apps, tackling, marking, bulk disposals, absolutely elite performance. Shout out to Mimstrom. Yeah, shout out to Mimstrom. She was absolutely elite. It was a great battle in the ruck of two, if not the two best, so close to the two best rucks in the competition. It was a pleasure. It was a great game to watch. It was a lot closer than what the scoreline suggests. Shame Freo lost 2 games this weekend. Hi, Freo fans.
If that isn't a sign that's a West Coast fan saying that, I don't know what is.
Well, we won a game this weekend, so so Laura Gardner elite, Mimstrom elite.
Yeah, exactly. So big performances there. My dud from this game. Who am I going to give it to? I can't give it to Andrew Stanton anymore, because I think we've all traded out. I think it's I think it's probably got to go to a mixture of Zippy Fish and Chloe Malloy, I think, for different reasons. I think for Malloy, for anyone that did pay up for the 1.1 odd million that she was, if you got her a few weeks ago, 65 is okay. Like, you've got the good scores, you've got the cash in, it's fine. But for those that brought her in this week, she'd probably get your dud from this game. But I don't know if I can fully give Chloe Malloy my dud, because she's one of my favourite players. So I probably can't give it quite to her. So I'll also give it to Zippy Fish to lighten the blow. The role was different, and we'll talk about it in terms of trade outs, but the role was a little bit more high up the ground, almost like half-back flanker wing type role. Not quite that deep defender. We're getting all the kick-ins, which was interesting. So that could be something that we talk about in terms of our trade outs as well. So
Yeah, one thing I will say, if you haven't seen one of Chloe Malloy's goals today, her
oh,
first,
that
watch it.
what a goal!
One of the best goals I've ever seen. Like, one of the best goals I've ever seen in any weird round shaped ball with four sticks of two different sizes. Like,
Yeah.
elite goal.
I post on Instagram earlier today. I was like, "There's nothing Chloe Malloy can't do because there's not. She can do everything. She's just so good." So
Yeah.
one of the best players in the competition for sure. Moving over to the Adelaide and Brisbane game, with Brisbane unfortunately getting a 3-point win, and I was in attendance for this, watching this game. Couple of late goals right in front of goal, by the way. I'm not going to comment on umpiring. I'm going to leave that away. We're a fantasy podcast, but very disappointed. Crows with 2 losses. Crows with 2 losses this week. Certainly not a good week to be a Crows fan. But who gets your stud from this game?
Shout out to Jed Ellinger with 89 and Brie Conan's second half with a 56-point second half of Brie Conan. Big
39 point third quarter for
save.
Conan, 38 Ellinger.
Yeah. Elite. After a quiet first half. But my +3 has to go to Chelsea Randall, and the frustration that is Chelsea Randall continues. 2 great scores and an absolute floor score in 3 weeks. She could be an option for us in the forward line. She is when she defense. She's a defender. Sorry. Still could be an option. Absolutely elite player. But that scoring's a little. Sorry, I thought she's playing forward. Is a defender in the game, unfortunately. But yeah, Ed Marinoff, 118. Unfortunately, it's kind of not what we wanted from her. But 118, we can't really be too upset.
This is, and it's funny, like, right? It's crazy us saying this, right? But it's true, right? If you look at Ebony Marinoff, she's I think the 4th highest averaging mid, and she had the 6th highest score of the round, 1 point behind Kate Hoare and 2 points behind Tani White. But it's just the level that we expect of Marinoff, right? She hasn't gone over 130 points this year, which she did pretty much every week last year, which is ridiculous. And she's dropped. I think her and Gardner are almost the same price, which is, again, it's crazy to think. And at 118 is a good score, but from the standards that we have of Noffy, it's not quite there, which is wild, but just shows how good she is. Unfortunately, I'm going to give the dud here, and I don't love doing this either because another one of my favorite players, but Anne Hatchard, 51, just not getting it done. The role is all over the place. Like, she's playing the midfield, then she's playing deep forward, then she's playing as the backup ruck, which is, I don't know. I don't think we can trust Anne Hatchard at the moment. Like, last week was good, put up a good score, but 3 other games around that have been really poor. And I just think the role is being changed around way too much that we're not going to get consistent numbers. So I wouldn't be bringing Hatchie in. Unfortunately, I'd be looking elsewhere for the time being, unless we see a change in role moving forward. And also, that's, I think, 7 in a row for Brisbane against the Crows. I can't remember the last time the AFLW team beat Brisbane because it's been that long. So long time. Moving over to the next game, which was North Melbourne and Collingwood. And North Melbourne, again, just putting on a clinic. They're so dominant. I just don't know who beats them, to be honest. And this was without Jazz Garner. The best player in the comp wasn't playing, and they still dominated from start to finish. Who gets your stud from this game?
Shout out to Ash Riddell doing Ash Riddell things. 1, 2, 3. Shout out to Tiny White, 120, but not particularly fantasy relevant. So I'm going to give it to someone who is fantasy relevant and has been for a number of years. That's Emma Carney with 96. That from the second quarter onwards, she just had the ball, seemed to be around the ball at all times. To see she only got 24 touches almost seems a bit like it felt like she had just had the ball at all times. Absolutely elite performance. Back-to-back good scores to start the year for her, and would have been a very good trading option this week if you went there, and might be a good trading option going forward.
Yeah. Yeah, I nearly went there. I went Shelley Heath instead to save that little bit of cash,
Same.
which I'm still fairly happy with. But yeah, Emma Coney was someone I definitely looked at. Not a huge amount of duds from this game, so I've probably got to give it to Tessa Boyd. But we're not Tessa Boyd personally, but North Melbourne, come on, back spasms. Come on, it probably was in the warm up, right? So probably it's hard, but when we're all locked out of trades, we have to give the dud to someone that's out that we can't do anything about, right? So a lot of people would have probably had a Beck Otters cover or a Jess Wrench, but if you didn't, you might have copped a donut or a worse score. So, but the actual dud, unfortunately, goes to Ash Centra, 33. Like, I know that it was against North Melbourne, not a great matchup, but 33. We need these 50s. Like, just get 50, 55, just to get this cash gen going. Because again, not much cash being made, and yeah, just it's stuck on the bench and not doing a whole amount. So it's frustrating.
Officially with Ash, my Jets have been called. I will not talk about Ash Centre as a trading option this week, having done it quite vocally last week. My Jets haven't been called, and yeah, unfortunately, I think we're going to have to wait till AFLW season 11 before she becomes an option.
Yeah, exactly.
It's sad.
Yeah. Moving over to the second last game, which was Essendon and Geelong, with Geelong getting a win by 31 points. And I think I know where your stud's going to, because we third highest averaging midfielder is not something I would have said about this Essendon midfielder.
Yeah. Shout out to G Prez, George Pasparkis. 33 disposals and 2 goals.
Do you see Georgie's time on ground?
100% time on ground.
100% that we'd love to see.
We'd absolutely love to see it. 33 touches and 2 goals. Gets you best, would get you the best on ground. But unfortunately, she got picked for 141 for Georgian Anscorn. 15 tackles to go along with 32 disposals. I think we've got to start taking her seriously. Like, that's 4 tons in a row now. Some big tons in there, averaging well over 115. I think we've got to start taking her seriously.
She won't get tagged. Maddie Prasparkas being there, she'll always get the attention. Whereas Jean Anscorn can go about her business.
Did score 93 herself with 26 touches and a goal. So it's not like there's still some output from Prasparkas as well, the Maddie variety, to help that point about not getting tagged. But yeah, I think we need to start taking her seriously as a top 5 mid option.
100%. Yeah, for sure. Got to be looking at that a lot closer. My dud for this game, Piper Dunlop. 19 points. Just when we said it was a couple weeks, last week or the week before, we were like, if she can just pop a 50, 55, that's good cash gen she's making. It's a bit like our Centra, right? Just at the time when that score was there to be had, it just didn't happen. And the cash gen isn't there. And didn't help that she only played 52% time on ground, which was really disappointing. And she only won 6 hitouts for the day. 5 of them when we were in the last quarter.
Wales was annoying.
Yeah,
return of Steph Wales wasn't a help.
No, it wasn't. But still,
but yes,
we need a lot more than that. It's just not good enough. And so very disappointing.
Yeah.
And final game, which is West Coast and Port Adelaide, which was a cracking game of footy. Great game of footy to watch. West Coast getting the win by 19 points. As Tom said, there you go. West Coast got a win this weekend. Who gets your stud from this game?
So the popular fantasy players in Woodland, Schultz, 82s, good scores. I want to give it to Courtney Rowley. A goal, 27 touches, 7 tackles for 112. She was priced at 460k before the start of the round. She was the downgrade option. Elite midfield role. She got so many clearances. Like every centre bounce, she seemed to get a clearance. 7 clearances in that, including 5 centre clearances. Like, absolutely elite performance. I'm not going to say she's an option. So I think that role was a lot better this week, but I don't know how sustainable it is going forward. But 112 from a rookie price player is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, exactly. And my dud is going to go to a couple of premiums that a few people may have had, being Emma Swanson for 38. Just 0 marks. That's not what we want to be seeing at all. And then Gemma Houghton, who's not, I guess, not the same sort of caliber of premium in terms of the forward. She's probably under a lot of a blanket for those 700K forwards, but 28 points is not what you want to see after kicking 4 goals, 5 and tunning up last week, only to go and drop at 28. So if you did jump on Gemma Houghton last week and you got the good score, be happy. But then this week it was not anywhere near as good. So unfortunate there. But that is the game. So a little bit quicker, which is good, because I know we long pod last week with Jake with technical difficulties and Wi-Fi issues and everything like that. But we are running a little bit better for time this week. So we'll chat through the trade outs this week. So I think we'll probably start in terms of the order of the trade outs, right? In terms of we'll discuss sort of the popular issues, right? Zippy Fish is probably number one. She's a very popular M5. A few people have got her at M6, which I think it's easy. If you got her on the bench, you can downgrade all the way down, get that cash, and then that's probably 2 upgrades that you can make, and you'll be laughing. But if she's your M5, is she a priority trade out, or is there other issues? So a few people will have maybe a test board if she's not back to deal with, or maybe a Beckott if they want to upgrade her. Maybe they've got a Havana Harris at R1, which maybe is at the time, which we'll chat about her in a sec as well. Maybe you've got a Laura Stone, who was okay, but was good in the last half. First half was pretty quiet and low game time. Zippy Fish, what are your thoughts on a trade out of her? Is it time?
It can be time. I think it's my very politician diplomatic answer. I think she has hit her cash ceiling now. So if you don't have more pressing issues, I think she's a trade this week. I think we're saying thank you, Zippy. You've made 5. So I've got it up here. She has made 551k from the start of the season. Absolutely amazing. But I think now is probably the time where if we can get her to a premium midfielder, it's time to go. However, if you have other things to do, Sydney have Collingwood this week, and I think she's going to go well this week. But I think she's got to go this week or next.
Yeah, agreed. If you don't trade this week, it's got to be next week. But ideally, it's this week. Ideally, she went down 12K this week. So you trade, that's the cash ceiling. You trade, you go up to a premium that's making cash and going the other way, which I'm sure we'll talk about a couple when we go into trade-ins. I agree. Havana Harris is probably the next one. I feel like this is more of a priority trade for me. So I've got Harris and Fish on field. We'll talk about trades after, but I can trade both, banking a bit of cash this week. But I think Havana Harris is more of a priority. Time on ground last week was great, 96%. 58 points is not too bad, but she went down 8K, 734. And when you look at the rucks this year, I think it was put in a group chat of ours that I think the rucks have adjusted quite quickly to these rule changes. Because if you're looking at the rucks, Mim Shom still dominating, still averaging over 100. Ali Morfitt, not that far behind, 88.5. Schultz, 87. Edmonds, 86. Wales, 86. Then you've got Bree Harrington at 80. And Steph Wells in her first game back scored a 73 from managed game time. So a number of rucks going quite well. And there's even an Eilish O'Dowd there that started slow with some low game time, but was good on the weekend. Do you think that just getting Havana Harris up to someone in the ruck line is a priority probably this week more than a Zippy Fish?
I think so. And it's just because of the role Harris plays. Being a forward or playing as a forward, obviously ruck in the game, I think she has the chance of dropping a proper stinker. Like, for example, this round, she was on 24 points after about 3 minutes, and you didn't see her for the rest of the first half.
Yeah.
Like, she's been great, but I think this is the time where you need to identify when players have capped and when just to go, thank you, handshake, and move them on to a better option. And I actually think you can go all the way up to Strom, but you can also there's also a plethora of options of which you can probably try and pick the best run of the next like bunch of coaches, whether that's a Schultz, a Morfitt, a Wales sisters, Edmonds, even a Brie Harrington, who I'm not quite as bullish on, but yeah.
Yep.
That's my
Yeah, exactly. But particularly with
that's my
Torpy
piece.
coming in for Brie Harrington and Jess Good being out, I think it's just
Yeah.
Brie Harrington's going to play the same role, and it's not going to matter too much.
Yeah.
In terms of other traders, there's probably not in terms of there's not a huge amount of people that were like they have to go, right? And Fish and Havana Harris don't have to go, right? But we're looking on field. They're two players who want to upgrade. But if we're looking at some other players, Grace Kosh is now 300K. It's probably just you can't really trade her, right? There's no point. You're wasting a trade if you're going to a red dot, so you just have to probably hold her there. Piper Dunlop, you could trade down, bank 116K if that gets you the play you want. That gets you a red dot to loop between a couple of those players there. Like if you've got Ascentra, you're probably not trading just because there's probably not really any options really out there. I'm just going through a list. Is there any other players that you'd be trading out of? Or is there not really any other besides maybe Fish and Havana that people have got to deal with?
I mean, Tessa Boyd, if she's out again, I think she's got to go. Just because I just don't think you can, like, she's not going to be a keeper, so you can use that cash. But if she plays, she's a definite hold because she's going to fly up in coin. And that's the...
Fingers crossed. If it was just back spasms, then it sounds like it was just in the warm up. So I was probably went a bit negative when I gave her the dud there, but more giving her the dud for the situation she caused coaches that panic there. But if it's back spasms, we're hoping that she's okay, and she's playing so well that it'd be hard to leave her out. But if there's a team where you're going to be hard to be left out, it's North Melbourne. So hopefully she's back and we don't have to deal with it. But Beck Ott, is she someone that you can trade out now? Does it become more if Boyd's out, you probably have to hold Beck Ott for a week if you're going to play her there on field, which they have got Essendon. It's not too bad a matchup for a ruck. But if Tess Boyd plays, is Beck Ott down a play you'd be doing if she's on your bench?
Oh yeah, I mean, if Tess Boyd plays, Beckott is another one of these. Thank you, but it's time to end. Made nearly 300K. She can definitely go. We are well and truly in upgrade season now, so we are cashing out of these fully fattened rookies and getting that cash on field. Like Ott, Wrench, if you own her, Wrench is a must trade. Wrench is an absolute must trade. Yep. Played defense. Did well to get to 39. You're taking the 39. Yeah, those kind of players now are being very good. But Ott, if you have to hold for one more week, just because you've got other things to do, you can do worse. She's been quite a steady 50-ish scorer over the first part over the first half, third of the season. So you can definitely hold that one. But if you don't have the issues, then you can definitely get off back up.
Yeah, great. Just some others. Obviously, Yasmin Dersma obviously is probably going to be missing some time. I believe it was a broken collarbone. Got absolutely crunched in a big hit. I can't remember exactly the Dogs play that did it, but it was fair bump and everything. But it was it was a big hit. So she'll be out for a little bit. So I know over 10% of the comp have got her, but she's got to go. And then in terms of mids, if you've still got Georgia Patrikios, again, just another poor score. Role again, not what you want. So if you didn't trade her last week and you had to hold, she's got to go this week. So I'd be making that move. And then in terms of any others, it's probably it. I think, Britt Benici actually lost a lot of money. I thought she did go off injured, I think, at one point, but she came back on. So I think she'll be fine, though. But yeah, in terms of that, that's probably it from the mids. Rucks, we've talked about the Rucks in terms of who you'd be trading out. And is there any forwards? I don't think so. From the popular ones there.
I mean, you can definitely, like, with the forwards, you can definitely, like, get off a Laura Stone. You can definitely get off a Taylor Harris.
55% game time for Laura Stone on the weekend, which was disappointing. She still scored well, 55 in that.
Yeah. She went from being the third mid to the fourth mid, which was the critical difference. When she's playing as the third, when she was playing as the third midfielder, which she was in the previous few games, she was getting that increased time on ground, which allowed a higher score. However, I'm trying to find what the player's called. Oh, what's she called? Who played midfield and knocked her out?
Bridie Hipwell.
Bridie Hipwell came in and played midfield with 88% time on ground. There you go. That's where Laura Stone's time on ground went from the previous weeks in the early to mid 70s. The previous 2 weeks playing as that. That starting midfielder. So, like, Bridie Hipwell's actually an option. She's playing in that midfield.
Bridie Hipwell, 624K, not too much more expensive. So
you
sort of wondered,
not.
Does that change? You wonder if that changes back to Laura Stone against the Crows. Maybe they want Laura Stone's tackling pressure in there. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But especially if Jazz Fleming's back this week, I think she was 2 to 3 last week, so I don't think she'll come back just yet. But if she was back, that would be alarm bells because she'll come straight back into that midfield mix. So something to definitely watch. But obviously,
and this is what I was saying about Zippy Fish. If Fleming's back, I think Stone is a more pressing trade this week. Because if Stone was the fourth mid, she might end up being a half forward or even out the side, which is going to really sting. So I think, but if Fleming's not there, I think you can definitely hang on for another week.
Yeah, agreed. Let's go through the trade-in options just as before we wrap up. So we'll go from defense through to the forward line. So we'll start off in defense. To Lucas Rod, we know that they're a great option. You've got the cash to suspend up. I thought that they were going to drop a lower score. At quarter time, they weren't going very well. But then second quarter had about 40 points. And I thought, okay, well, they're not going to have a stinker. So they're going to be still expensive when we're going to be bringing them in. So still a great option if you're looking at TLR. Obviously, Emma Carney, we talked about, great option. Went up a lot of money, just went 102K, but 96 points. Brisbane this week, not a great matchup, but I think Emma Carney's is Emma Carney's, right? So she's very, very good. Like Georgia Stathis. Is Neve McLaughlin, is she too expensive now? A little bit like Cambridge McCormick. We'll probably bunch him in the two, right? Cambridge McCormick, another 82. Neve McLaughlin's literally got better every single week at 94 here. Are they just, have you missed the boat? Are you better off targeting a few of the names that we're about to talk about? Or do you think there's form on their side and you can pay up for them?
Yeah. So I'm a huge fan of Neve McLaughlin. I think she's great. I just worry about that ceiling, and she's not shown the ceiling in the first few games. Like, she's been consistent the last 3 weeks, 72. I know it was 94. That was against GWS, and she's not going to play GWS every week. But
yeah.
So I don't see this. I don't think she's a bring in this week. I think the week to bring her in was probably last week with the nice matchup ahead of her. Now she's past it. I think she's too expensive to be a trade in, especially when you've got at least three names I can think of off the top of my head who are, I would say, are much better trade in options.
Yeah. And we've got a few of them here, right? So you got Charlie Thomas, 809K, scored a 73. He's gone 3 of her 4 scores in the 70s. The 53 the week before was why she dropped a bit, but she's 809K there. You got Shelley Heath, who is 725K. Had low game time, 65%, probably not wanting to overwork her after what happened the previous week, bringing the flu and obviously elevated heart rate. But she had an amazing first and last quarter. I think she scored pretty much all her points in those quarters. Quiet second and third quarter, but we expect her to be in this midfield for the remainder of the year, which she was. And then I'll also put Chelsea Randall here because she's cheap, 710K. She had the absolute stinker against GWS, but a great game against Brisbane. Time on ground, 93%, and was back to doing Chelsea Randall things. So how would you sort of, I guess, talk about these three and who you like?
I'll add Serene Watson into there at 780.
So wait, why did I not mention Serene Watson? Oh, because she was 780. I was going down. I went Charlie Thomason straight to Shelley Heath. No, Serene Watson being the other one that people should be looking at, 783K. And the only reason she dropped was because that 35 the week before against West Coast, who are a hard matchup for defenders. But outside that has been pretty good. So who you like of those 4?
I think Shelley Heath is the option at 725 midfield role. The only reason she's cheap is because she got injured twice in 2 games, basically. Well, like last week with 20% time on ground, she's got a 39. That just shows the points per minute that she can possess. If she can get back to the 78% time on ground she had round 1, then she's so far underpriced, priced at about 60. I think she can go about 75 to 80. So I think there's so much value there, and that extra cash might allow you to get to a better player on the other side. Like, it's only 100K from a Tessa Boyd. It's only 200K from a Jess Wrench to get to Shelley Heath.
And a top 5
Randall,
defender.
Yeah. If Randall was a forward, I'd be very keen, given that she's playing forward as well. I'd be very, very keen. I just don't like the fact that because she's playing forward, you have that increased volatility of scoring. As we've seen in the last 3 weeks, 2 great weeks and an absolute disaster.
I think if it wasn't for Watson, Heath, and Thomas being cheap, Randall would be someone to talk about if there were no other cheaper options. But the fact that Shelley Heath's not that much more expensive, 15K more, and the other options aren't too much more, I think that probably just puts her clearly at the bottom. But she's got the name if you want to go someone a little bit unique. But I think Shelley Heath's there. Watson or Thomas, if people are choosing between the two, are you still Thomas for maybe safety, or do you think that Watson could be the option, being a little bit cheaper?
Well, I'm going back to my trusty scale of hardness. Thanks, Jaiden. Statsbyjaiden.com.au. If you want to get this resource, it's free. Bit of a plug to him. So we're talking between Thomas, who had a fairly decent run with Freo, Melbourne, GWS, Collingwood, Adelaide. And the other one is Serene Watson, who also has a nicest run with Essendon, Richmond, Port Adelaide, and GWS. I was really hoping that they were going to be able to be split by that, but they're not. They've both got nice runs. I don't know.
It's funny that a lot of us had this decision before round 1. These two were like, who's starting in their D1? Whereas now people are looking at them to bring in.
I'm going Serene pure because she's 20K cheaper. I can't split them. I think they're both very similar players. I think they're both very good players. I think they'll both be very good ins. I know I traded Serene Watson last week out. I wasn't expecting a 98. Maybe that way I will go with Charlie Thomas. Because I traded up Serene last week. I've got to stick by my decisions.
Yeah, I'll probably say Serene just because she's a little bit cheaper, but I did probably say at the start of the year, I would have started with Thomas if I had that little bit extra money. So part of me thinks she's safer, which probably thinks Serene might have the bigger ceiling based on what we've seen from these games.
Charlie Thomas is a 70 almost every week. You know what you're going to get. She's not going to let you down. She's going to keep ticking you over. She had a bad first half last week, which means why she didn't get a 70 last week. She only got a 50. She had a bad first half. Like, she's very, very consistent player and has a complete monopoly on kick-ins at West Coast. Complete monopoly. She takes all of them.
Yeah. Did you know that they're only Watson and Thomas are only 4 points apart this year? Thomas has scored 4 points more.
Well,
They've both had stinkers. The only difference being is that Serene's 35 was followed up by 98. Thomas's 53 was followed up by a what did you get today? 73. So that's the difference, right? So maybe it's Watson for 20k cheaper. But I think you can't go wrong with either. I think both are going to be good options. And then
shout out to Jenna Richardson as well.
Yep, no, got it done.
I think she's not a bad option.
Got it done. 56, a little bit lower. I prefer the other options, but she is an option that is there as well. And even and Ella Heads is probably similar to Jenna Richard, right? They've done pretty similar sort of scores there if you're looking. But I probably prefer those other ones we talked about. And then Tessa Boyd. If she does come back in, those coaches that were jumping on her this week, I think it is still viable to jump there for cash gen. Like if you've got a Beckott at D5 and you just want to go sideways across to Tessa Boyd, if she's named, I think that's still a viable play to make some cash. But hopefully she comes back in for those that have got her. So it'd be interesting to see what happens.
It'd be interesting. Yeah. Because back spasms are a weird, as someone who suffers a bit with back spasms, it depends what their approach North Melbourne is going to be. She could be fine tomorrow, like literally fine. She just this morning has had a flare up, but North Melbourne, being the powerhouse at the arm, might take the conservative approach and rule her out. But I think if she's playing, yes, you can bring her in, but she's a definite hold if she plays.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that there's almost the argument that maybe the back was just a bit stiff and there was back spasm, but I mean, it's not too bad. And maybe North just like, we're just not taking any risk whatsoever. We're going to back our system in, and that's fine. And maybe she's going to be completely fine for next week. So it'd be good to see injury reports and see how she's tracking. Moving into the midfield, plenty of big options you can look at. So if you've got the cash and you want to spend it on Ash Riddell, you can definitely go there. I'd worry that this might not be the week to get Ash Riddell because Brisbane, you wonder if they send a Conan or a Kathy Svark to her because Jazz Garner we don't expect to be there again, at least for this week. So you think, do they just put some attention there? So I wouldn't probably pay 1.6 this week against Brisbane, but any other week you could. For those coaches that don't have Noffy, is it the time to bring her in? She's got Hawthorn this week and then she goes Gold Coast. She's dropped her heap in cash. She's down at 1.437 million, went down 65K this week, which is obviously not as much as what she has done. She's still turned up in every game. If you don't own her and you're part of the 31%, could you bring her in this week?
You definitely. I said it last week. You definitely can. And I'll say it this week. You definitely can. You because I think she's now almost value for what Noffy is. She's now priced at about 110, and that's about value for Noffy. The one that I think
getting at least 5 points value. I think she's at least a 115.
Yeah. The one that I'm really interested in this week is Laura Gardner.
Yeah, good matchup this week.
Just because of the run that Sydney have. With GWS next week and a green Adelaide the week after, then has a tougher one with North, but then it has a green Carlton, a green Melbourne, and a green West Coast before Essendon on the last day. Like, they have a very nice run to end the year.
Great option.
Someone else who I brought in this week who's gone down in cash and even cheaper. He's an Ella Roberts. I wasn't too happy with the role. It seems to be a bit more forward, but it was quite a wet day in Perth. Not really suiting her game. A few too many handballs, no mark. or 1 mark or a couple of marks, not enough marks for, but 1.194 million. Ella Roberts with West Coast having a really, really nice run. Freo, Melbourne, GWS, Collingwood in the next 4, who are all green. Ella Roberts priced at about 90 is a very, very nice option to bring in this week.
Yeah. Then you got Georgia Nanscorn, Mon Conti, and Tyler Hanks all getting it done, all playing decent time on ground. I think all three of them have turned up in every game so far this year, and they're all in the 1.3s. Is there a favourite that you have of those? Because I guess when you look at it, Mon Conti's the clear number 1 target at Richmond compared to Hanks and Nanscorn, which wouldn't be. Is that maybe the tiebreaker there and you'd go for one of the others, or would you not worry about it?
So out of those 3, I think that all 3 of them have been very underrated. I would say underappreciated. The one I will pick is Georgia Nanscorn, purely just for the sugar hit of playing St Kilda this week. They're a very nice matchup for midfielders, and they're being the primary. Kwon Conte being the primary target for Richmond going forward, and Tyra Hanks also is a great option if you have that 60k less to spend. But I think Nanscorn of the 3 has shown the elite ceiling, great matchup this week, decent run going forward. I think that's the one I'd go for.
Yeah, I think I agree as well. I reckon I'd probably go Nanscorn out of those 3. Then we'll obviously talk about Ella Roberts as well, but those other players in the 1.1. So you got Georgie Prasparkas, who obviously had her high score of the year with a 117, and 100% game time is something that is very impressive. And if that's something to look at going forward, then that's obviously going to be very, very good. But obviously, Britt Benici coming off a lower score, so maybe you're not going there just this week. Kiara Bowles responded with a 106, but 54 points in the first quarter. Do you could you trust going there? And then you've got Kate Hoare still, who I think is still a decent option, who's the cheapest out of those at 1.109. Is Kate Hoare and maybe Georgie Prasparkas probably the 2 there, along with Ella Roberts, you'd be targeting?
For me, it's Georgie Prasparkas is the one if you don't own her. Purely because Geelong have a nice run going forward. Or it feels like a nice run with Richmond and Port Adelaide. A tougher one against Hawthorn, but then Carlton, GWS, West Coast is a pretty nice run going forward. Kate Hoare, I love Kate Hoare, and I might bring Kate Hoare in. My only slight worry with her will always be how much time does she spend forward? Because if it's full-time on ball, Kate Hoare, she is the pick. She has the ceiling, the ability to go 105, 110, which is kind of what you want from this player for the next 4 to 6 weeks. I just worry how much time she's going to. If it's 80% midfield, then she rests forward. She stays on the ground like she did today. Absolutely fantastic. She might get a goal or 2 to supplement her midfield time. But if it's 40% mid, 40% forward, 20% bench, then I just worry what the ceiling is going to be.
Well, the good thing with Kate Hoare is she's played over 90% game time in every game, and she even took kick in actually on the weekend, which was interesting, right near the end of the game. Kate Hoare and Ella Roberts they're very, very similar players. They're players that can play deep forward. They play midfield. So part of me is like, well, do you just go the cheaper one? Like is Kate Hoare is 80 odd K cheaper than Ella Roberts? Maybe you go there, and as you said, Georgie Prasparkas is the pick out of these players in the 1.1s. But maybe go Kate Hoare just ahead of Ella Roberts because they both got good runs and they both play very similar roles.
Yeah. My worry about Kate Hoare is like the previous 2 weeks, she's gone 93 and 87, which is good. But that's off 2 or 4 tackles. The only real difference between the previous 2 weeks going about 90 to getting the 190 in this week is she had 13 tackles. Like, how sustainable is that? is she going to go back to being that 90s player? And if she is, that's probably not enough at the price.
Yeah. The one thing I
so
would
that's
say
the-
is that
that's
it seemed like the games
that's the one-
this week. Sorry, it seemed like the games this week were a little bit more contested than what we've seen in the previous 3 weeks. There was a lot more tackles. We saw some of the big mids rack up some decent numbers. So I just wonder if that's a bit of a shift, and maybe Kate Hord's going to continue, because she was tackling everything that was moving on that field. Watching that game, she was incredible. So I sort of you wonder if that is 13 tackles probably isn't sustainable, but 6, 7, 8 tackles a week to get your hundreds, I think is something that you can look at. And I guess it's for those like me that are maybe trying to upgrade a zippy fish. If you can get up to 1.1, I think that you can definitely look at someone like a Kate Hoare for sure. Is there anyone under that price, being under 1.1 or under $1 million, that you like? Like just going through here some names that you've got. Like you've got your friend Dana Finn. You're probably not bringing her in now, but she's there. Like Maddie Pressparks has dropped a bit, but she's probably been overtaken by Georgia Nan scoring as the number one scoring mid at, well, definitely has been overtaken by number one scoring mid at Essendon. Eliza McNamara's got a ceiling, but the role isn't like all these other mids. It's a lot more of that wing role. Lucy Single, obviously, with Charlie Rowbottom out, has dropped a little bit, but had a better game the weekend. You're not trusting Anne Hatchard. Going down this, like Tani White just put up a 120, but again, it's that's just a big pop score. So are you going to be able to trust that? Gabby Newton has floated around the same price all year. Could you go there with a better run moving forward? No. And then Isla Sheeran probably being the other one that you've got that has got a tough matchup this week, but look good. I don't love any of those options. That's why I'm probably looking at 1.1 and above if you're looking at a midfield. But it's hard for those coaches that have got zippy fish and they don't have the money to go up.
And if you don't have the money to quote from Zippy Fish, I think you're just holding Zippy Fish, because Ali Sheeran is the one, but it's a 1 to 2 week play. Like, when's Jazz Garner back? As soon as Jazz Garner back, she's probably the one that goes out of the midfield. And as soon as Sheeran's out of the midfield, that scoring is gone. We saw that in the first couple of rounds. As a result, I don't like that price point. It's a couple of great names within Ali Anderson, Ellie Blackburn, some great names down in that kind of area. We've just seen nothing. You're bringing them in you're hoping that they return to some form rather than seeing anything. And if you've seen something in the games, you're like, oh, okay, it didn't translate to points this week, then take a leap of faith. But I've not seen enough, so I'd sooner go up from Fish to at least that 1.1 price bracket, if not the more expensive kind of 1.3, 1.4 bracket.
Yeah, exactly. And then you got Sophie Conway, who popped a 90-odd score today that's in the 700s. So if you were really strapped for cash, you could go there. But North Melbourne this week is not the matchup you're probably looking at there either. Rux, Mimstrom, it's a great option. If you can't get Mimstrom, is it just get Mimstrom and then that's it? Or if you can make other moves work and get an Ali Morfitt, Matilda Schultz, Lucy Wales, Alice Edmonds, do you go for one of those rucks and you can save that 100, 200K off of a Strong?
I feel very lucky once again as a Matilda Schultz owner after going off on 1 in the start of the first quarter with a dislocated finger. To come back and get an 82 is thank you very much, Matilda. I think if you have a Havana Harris on field, you can definitely access what I want to call the tier 2 rucks. So that's the Wales sisters, Morfitt, Schultz, Edmonds. If you have one of those rucks now, like I do with Schultz, I don't mind the trade up to Strom. Especially this week against a fairly easy matchup in West Coast. Even though she's going to get double team, I still think it's going to be a decent score from Strom. I don't see that as a priority this week, especially from Schultz. With Schultz having a fairly okay matchup in Melbourne for rucks. Melbourne's fine. Then she plays Piper Dunlop, which is very fine. So I'm kind of looking in a couple of weeks' time to do that upgrade to Strom. So I think I was so impressed with Strom today. You can definitely, if you want to trade in the ruck, it's Strom. She will be the number one ruck. She was great, and he's a VC option.
Yeah, exactly. If it's not Strom, is it? If you can get Morfitt instead, is Morfitt probably the number 2 for you? Those for Havana, and I'm talking about those that have got Havana Harris.
I think probably yes. I'll go with yes. The next 2 are very nice for Morfitt, as they are very nice for. It's just how many trays do you want to do?
Yeah, exactly. Is it better to just get Strom in and not worry about it, or just hold Havana Harris May for a week?
Because
or you've got an Eilish O'Dowd that's the same sort of price.
Yeah, Morfitt in a couple of weeks runs into an Adelaide North Melbourne double act in 2 weeks, which is red and redder. Which is so Jess Allen and Kim Rennie are tough. So yeah, that scares me a little bit from Morfitt, and the fact she tends to play really low tog. What's that top? Yeah, it's only that kind 70s. Of mid to low 70s, which I don't think is going to move this year. I think that's what they're trying to keep her fit, and they're winning games of footy. I don't think they're going to burn out Morfitt by making her play 80 plus 85, 90% time on ground, which the other big rooks are doing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, it's certainly one to watch. And then you got Eilish O'Dowd, similar price to Havana Harris. If you wanted to be a little bit speculative and go there as a bit of a cheaper ruck, you could definitely look there. But I think it is probably you're looking at a Mim Strom if you can get in the to the rucks. And forwards is probably not much we're really looking at forwards, to be honest, this week. I think that you're not probably looking at the top end this week. So a lot of people have already got Ham, Goldsworthy, Woodland. If you know of Malloy, she just dropped her 65. You're probably waiting for a little bit of cash to drop there. I did like Ash Maloney, and part of me wishes I went there last week over Eden Zanker because she scored another 72. But she's now 890K, so she's quite expensive. I think Caitlin Gould's a great option next week when they've got Gold Coast. They got Hawthorn this week. The week after they got Gold Coast, that could be a great week to bring in a Caitlin Gould, who might drop below 800K once that hits. But besides that, I don't know about you, but I don't see any forward option that's standing out to me that's going, on pick me this week.
Well, there's one option.
Who's that?
And it's the Bonnie Toogood option. Bonnie Toogood returns.
No Daria Bannister
I do worry. Me. Yeah, I do worry about the role, but she is off the back of an 80. She'll have a low break-even price at 610. I think if Laura Stone has to be traded and you only want to do it with one trade, you can definitely do way, way worse than doing Stone down to Bonnie Toogood.
Yeah,
and making
exactly.
a little bit of cash.
Is Paige Scott, are they too expensive? 505K, back-to-back 63 and 59, making good cash. Is it too late to bring them in, or do you think that they are still an option?
I think they are too much money. They've not really got a scoring pedigree behind them. The role is better the last couple of weeks, playing much more that higher half forward, getting in and around the ball, and that's been seen with the scores rather than playing in row D of the stands that far forward. I just think that's too much to pay on your bench at this time of year. But one thing I will say is we've hit struggle bus for rookie bring-ins this week.
That's what I was going to say. That and there's not many rookies that you're looking at bringing in that have, and that's the thing, right? We're looking at cashing out of a Beckott, or if you've got a Havana Harris on the bench or a Zippy Fish on the bench, and you're looking to downgrade them. There's no real options. You're going, yep, that's the bring in, and that's what part of the reason I got Greaves last week is that after Greaves, who's the next option? Because if there's no one, where's that cash going to come from? You're looking at, like, even in defense, like we even played around with our trades beforehand and bringing in like Izzy Huntington, who's 320 but has done nothing all year. But we were like, you just bring her in as cover in defense. But like you've got
It's a name.
Like Holly Iffold scored a 38 in her first game of the year. Like, do you go there maybe that you could potentially look at? Like Eleanor Brown's actually down at 349, just dropped to 47.
Yeah.
Like, do you go there
Yeah.
as a defender? Like Rigoni was good in week 1, but 28 on the weekend's not great. Cleo Butterfield
Ella Smith with a 56 is an option. She had the best score, everyone priced under 400k this week. But all of these names, I'm almost tempted to pick a rookie that's named.
Yeah, 300k that hasn't played.
A 300k, yeah. As in, like, it's still too early to pick a red dot for me. But if I can pick a rookie that's named, that's 300k. I almost think I'll take the punt on that player over anyone that I've seen.
Yeah, we've got
this week.
You've got in the rucks. If you've got Havana Harris on the bench, I think you've got Charlotte Riggs. You could go for if you want.
Charlotte Riggs was very impressive. Charlotte Riggs was very impressive today.
Yeah, very, very good. Shout out to Rowan.
She was very, very
friend
good.
Of ours that he taught her in primary school, or high school, one of the two.
Yeah.
So shout out to Rowan there.
She was very good. Playing forward, and fairly high up the ground at times. She wasn't playing out of the goal square. She was fairly high up the ground. That's if you can do that at the utility spot, that could, like, Charlotte Riggs or even Dunlop down if you've got nothing better to do, could be an option. But bear in mind, she did score a 13 last week.
Yeah, exactly. I would have said Madison. I would have said Madison Torpy could have been an option as well, but we just could probably back not this week, next week. It's probably not worth it for a 1 week play, so you're probably not looking there. And with the forwards, you're not looking at really. There's no real other options here either. Like there's like names here like Neil Morris Dalton and Amelia Yasia, but then obviously not scoring well, so you're probably not going there. Obviously, Lauren Young, we're waiting for that debut to come. She was a test last week, but she's probably not going to score amazing when she comes in, but maybe that's where you get the cash. Maybe you just jump on her first week in, and if she scores well, great. If she doesn't, well, it's like, well, there's probably not other options you'd probably go for. And yeah, that's probably about it. There's obviously, it's a quiet week for rookies, so hopefully we can get some rookies maybe this upcoming week that we can potentially look at bringing in. So, but yeah, that'll probably do us, I reckon, for the pod again. So, in terms of our early trade thoughts, what are your early thoughts? Obviously, we haven't had a huge amount of time post lockout. What are you thinking?
This is extremely early, but currently I have. What have I done? So I've done. I'm assuming Tessa Boyd isn't available. So I'm trading Tessa Boyd and Beckott and Zippy Fish to bring in Kate Hoare, Serene Watson, and Izzy Huntington, who's a cheap defender on the bench.
Yeah, don't mind those. Mine, probably got the two I looked at briefly, is that it'll be Beckott down to Huntington or Iffold, one of the defensive rookies there, or if I don't know if I bring in a red dot, but in defense, but that is a play if I'd like to do that. And then I am looking at going Havana Harris up. Should be going up. But if I go Strom, I can't go Fish to a mid I like. It'd be like a Sheeran type, which I could just bring Sheeran in, but then I've got to trade her out again. So if I go Strom, maybe I'll just go Dunlop to Riggs, bank some cash, and then upgrade Fish the week after. Or I can go Morph and Kate Hoare. That's the option I'm looking at as well, potentially. But then I've got to trade Morph at some point, probably along with Kate Hoare. So it's probably two players I have to eventually trade out again across to like a Jazz Garner and Mim Strom. So I'm sort of weighing up what I like to do. But that's current early thoughts, but we'll see how the week unfolds. As I said, that'll do us. So if you are tuning along, make sure you do smash a like on the video and subscribe to that channel if you haven't already. And if you're listening back on the pod, a 5-star rating and review would be very much appreciated. Tom, if they haven't followed you across the socials, where can the people find you?
You can find me on X at Tom_Hales_. Have a good week.
Yeah, exactly. And you can find me at BAILSDT across the socials and us at AFL Fantasy Fans on X. Obviously, we'll be live later on in the week. It'll either be Thursday night or it'll be a Saturday morning one, because I'll obviously be at the Crows men's final on the Friday night. So we live 1 to 2 days. So keep on track with us across the socials, and we'll let you guys know when we'll be going live for our pre-lockout chat later on in the week. So thanks, everyone. Have a good start to your week, and we'll chat to you guys later on in the week. So thanks, everyone. See ya.
Bye.